had two nervous breakdowns. One at age 17 when my parents forced me to go to the Catholic school for my senior year of high school instead of letting me go back to the theater school that I loved. I was forced to go to Catholic school from first grade to sixth, where I was beaten and thrown down stairs many times, which may explain the nervous breakdown when I had to go back there. I remember wondering, how can these holy people say they follow God when all they do is abuse children? I think of myself as a very spiritual person today, but I don't follow any organized religion. My second nervous breakdown was age 28, when my boyfriend of 3 years, who I was supposed to marry, broke up with me right after New Year's Eve. It turned out to be the right thing though, because I was unaware of how extremely codependent I had become with him. I immediately started psychotherapy after that breakup. My therapist, Winnie, helped me remember what it was like to be a kid growing up in a family in a town that was extremely critical of me. I had blocked most memories out before age 10. Drugs became a temporary fix to ease the pain of not fitting in. When I finally found a school where I did fit in, Emerson College in Boston, I couldn't concentrate on my acting or directing work because I was too drugged out. Shortly before graduation, I started to do some modeling work, jobs in Boston, after I met a photographer at a cocaine dealer's house. Once I entered the modeling world, it was a whirlwind. Drugs and modeling went together. After Boston, I moved to New York City. I would walk into a photo shoot and there would be a mound of cocaine on the table for the models to help themselves. It was 1984 and everyone I knew did cocaine. During the late 80s, I was back and forth from LA to New York City, and in those days there was a constant party at the Chateau Marmont, a hotel in LA on the Sunset Strip. Most everyone who stayed there had a suite, including a kitchen and a living room, so you would move from one party to the next nightly. This hotel had a long running reputation of famous people getting high and getting into trouble there. Jim Morrison almost fell out of a window. John Belushi actually died and OD'd in bungalow number 3. I guess it was a glamorous life hanging out with celebrities on the rise, but I began to get very tired of this lifestyle. The drugs were eating me alive, and the modeling and acting industries were also doing a number on my head. This world was full of rich film and music executives who were not very nice people, especially to women. And I watched people change dramatically for the worse. I was afraid that this was going to happen to me. So I eventually got out. After going to therapy for a year, 3 times a week, I decided to give the film and modeling industry 6 more months. If things did not get better in that time, I would go back to get my master's in social work. That was 6 months, and that ended up being the worst 6 months of my entire life. My friend Finn and I, both drunk, almost died in a gasoline accident in West Hollywood at 3 in the morning. That was it. That was it. I had to get out. I started grad school at Fordham University in September 1990 and never looked back. My first internship was in Harlem Hospital, counseling drug addicted teens. Most of the patients had just delivered a baby addicted to crack. Cocaine induces an early labor, so the babies were born only weighing about 4 pounds. If they survived the birth, they looked like little rats with in the incubators with tubes coming out of their bodies. I left the hospital that first day and I got home and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I was 30 years old, September 1990, and I vowed to never do cocaine again, which I haven't. I realized that the things I put up with in the movie industry were too much for me. It's hard to talk about half the things that happened. I always felt like I was being used in some way to make someone money. The last bad thing that happened to me was when my booker from Ford Modeling Agency asked the models if they would like to attend a party on the top floor of Olympic Tower in New York City. They said there would be a lot of potential clients there, and it could mean getting some good bookings. I decided to go with a few of my model friends from the agency, and from the moment we arrived, something didn't feel right. The apartment was 3 floors high with a pool on the top, and the elevator that came from the lobby opened right into the vast living room. There was a live jazz trio playing and waitresses passing hors d'oeuvres. There were famous people there like Brooke Shields and Donald Trump. As we walked in, a man came up to us and invited us to sit down and ordered us a drink. My friends and I began to feel uneasy, like we were there for the men's entertainment. I had seen Trump at other parties in and around the modeling world, and the word was stay away from him. Soon we decided to get out of there because we felt like prostitutes. This was 1990, the year that Jeffrey Epstein began to have his fake modeling agency. This is how the industry was changing. I retired as a model that night. That's what the sad thing is that I don't think that the movie or the modeling industry has changed that much since I was in it. It's only gotten worse. Women and men are still taken advantage of every day. The Me Too movement helped a lot, but at least to bring predators like Weinstein and others to justice. But there's still so much work to be done to make things right. I just watched 2 movies that tell the story really well. The first one is This Changes Everything, a documentary produced by Gina Davis describing how the film industry has banned most women from any positions of power. The second movie is called Tape, Tape, by director Deborah Kampmeyer. This is based on a true story of how a young NYU acting graduate student was abused and raped by a fake film producer. Both films are moving and jolting at the same time, and I highly recommend them. It's time for women to stand up again and come together to demand change. So many women have a story to tell about being abused, both inside and out of this industry. We need the good men to start to stand up for us. It would help the situation change faster if they did. When women survive these attacks, it's very important to tell their stories because it helps other women come forward and get in touch with their own stories of abuse and survival. I'm grateful that I survived the film and modeling industry, but my heart breaks for the people who didn't make it. It's time for a more permanent change.